First of all, I would like to ask you, when did you start photographing?
Well, I wanted to be a photographer when I was 14 and 15 years old, and then I didn't have a camera for 20 years. And then I started 15 years ago with underwater photography, in fact. And after half a year I was selling a lot of futures for diving magazines. And then in 1999 I started with birds. And that's when I went to Canon also, because they announced the new long lenses, super telephoto lenses with image stabilizer, and I knew that was the future. So then I bought my first Canon camera and went over.
Basically, you chose wildlife from the beginning. You didn't explore any other disciplines of any other domains of photography.
No, it was underwater. But that meant you worked with a model. Also because you have to have another diver. If you do future, you can't do only macro, you have to have another diver, and you use fisheye because underwater you have so much particles, so you must get very close to the model.
When was the moment when you decided to become professional?
It was 9 years ago. I was suddenly earning all my money from photography. And I had no intention of doing that, but since that time I've been doing this nearly full time.
So basically you did it out of full pleasure for you?
Yeah.
And then the profession chose you?
And I always say, I'm still an amateur. Today, you know, the word amateur means lover. I love what I'm doing. The day I'm not an amateur, I will stop. I mean, becoming a professional, you just earn money on it. I had the opportunity, I was lucky, I could earn money of my photography, but I'm still an amateur in the meaning I love what I'm doing.
Did you have any moment when you thought about giving up on photography and doing something else?
No. Why should I? I mean, it can't be better. I mean, I have my hobby as my job, and I have freedom to do nearly whatever I want to do. I mainly do books. I've made 9 books in 9 years, and so very often I choose what I want to do and then I do it, and I'm been lucky so far.
Your books are not only photography albums.
No.
I saw your latest one, and it seemed to me that it was also very complex and very well explained photography course.
Yeah, the latest one, it's just a few days old. It is just published in Swedish, and it took me 1 year to do it. I was supposed to do 160 pages about a handbook in photographing wildlife, but it became 350 pages, and I'm going through nearly everything. And publishing is a little bit of learning people, I mean, to educate people, and so I think when I have a lot of workshops and courses, and when I see people getting excited and they learn things and they get their very good image, that's more, I feel better from that than when I get a good image. I mean, it's really, you really get something out of learning people to do photography. For example, birds of prey. I mean, you can see a bird of prey, but to get a good photograph of it, you have to plan. Very often I plan, I mean, I feed smaller birds, I can feed eagles, and I think it's a win-win situation. We give the birds food, and I get photographs if I'm lucky. I mean, eagles don't come every time.
Do you have a special memory from one of your trips hunting for excellent photographs with animals?
I had the opportunity to go to a very small island, or 2 very small islands between Honolulu and Tokyo. It was a former marine base, very important marine base. The 2 islands are not more than 3 kilometers long, and nowadays it's not a marine base, it's the largest colony of albatrosses, 1 million albatrosses, and you're nearly stumbling on them. And coming there, and I was supposed to be there for 7 days, but I was lucky to be there for 15 days, and I made a book about them. And they were really coming so close to me. When I was laying down, they were coming, looking into my lens, picking on my lens, and picking on my shirt. And that was, I think that is one of the best experiences I have ever had.
You also fight for a little bit for the cause of some of the animals you're photographing. You're letting know the people that how beautiful they are.
Yeah. And, when I made that book about albatrosses, it was the first time I wrote this text myself. Earlier I've been cooperating with professors in biology, etc. And this time I wrote a text, and it was a strong defense for the albatrosses cause. And because they are threatened earlier, because they were killed because man wanted their feathers, but now they get killed because of the longline fishing. I think the longline fishing industry kills between 160,000 and 400,000 seabirds, and half of them are albatrosses. And albatrosses are really big birds. I mean, the biggest albatross has a wingspan of 3.5 meters. So they are very impressive.
In your line of photography, equipment is very important. Why are you working with Canon equipment?
For example, when I was on Midway, I didn't have any rain in 15 days, but I had 20-25 minutes, and the rain was worse than a shower. And in 1 minute, my clothes were like a wetsuit, but I could work with my equipment. I can stay here because I wanted to have photographs of the birds getting wet, and long the raindrops as long lines, and the feathers very wet, and they were shaking like this to get rid of the water. And that was, in 20 minutes I took 7 or 8 photos for the book.
Do you have any advice for the young people or the people who decide to becoming a photographer?
Well, I think you must have fun. I mean, that's the most important thing. And then I think you will be skilled, and you can get the education after a while. But fun is very important. If you don't have fun, you shouldn't do it.